Hey guys, Mrs.Roopa here. And since Earth Day was this week, I wanted to bring you guys a science experiment that you can try at home. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory behind this experiment because we are going to be talking about oil spills. And on April 20th, 2010, there was a gigantic oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. So if you've ever been down to Gulf Shores, you have been to the Gulf of Mexico. So that's very, very close to home, okay? There was an offshore drilling platform, and what those do, they drill in the ocean for oil. And something happened to this platform and there was a gigantic explosion. Many people were hurt, and also, and this is what our experiment is about, oil started to spill from the platform. Now, oil and water, as we know, or if you don't know, they do not mix. So when this oil was spilling it out into the ocean, it created a ton of problems. So the explosion happened on April 20th. Now here's the thing. It took scientists and researchers and workers 4 months to finally cap or stop the oil from spilling from this platform. So it had been spilling oil for 4 months. Now I want you guys to think, how do you think ocean animals would be feeling right now if their homes and their habitats were covered in oil? For me, I think it would be not very good. Unfortunately, many ocean animals died. Some were, tons were injured, and birds that were coming in that normally land on the water, they were getting covered in oil and making it hard to fly. The oil was washing onto the shores, so shore creatures were being affected. It was just a gigantic mess, and scientists, like I said, and researchers and workers were trying to get this oil out of the water. But that is not a very easy thing to do. So that is why we are going to try an oil spill experiment and see if there are ways that we can clean up an oil spill from water. So let's go through our procedure and our materials list, and then we're going to jump right into the experiment. So title of our experiment is Oil Spill Experiment. The materials that you're going to need are 2 foil tins. If you don't have foil tins, this is just for easy cleanup. You can use any kind of a baking dish, okay? Doesn't matter. You need water. You need oil. So I have some Crisco vegetable oil. You will need paper towels, cotton balls, Dawn dish soap, and a spoon. Now, these things are what you are going to be using to try and clean up your oil spill. I will say, this is not a very clean experiment. We are working with oil. It can get very messy. That's why we're using this tin right here to put all the things that we're going to be using to clean up our oil spill into this tin. Okay, so that's why you need this. Okay. And also, when you have the paper towels, the cotton balls, and the Dawn dish soap, see if you can find other things that you might want to try to use to clean up your oil spill that is going to eventually be in this pan. All right, so our procedure, we are going to take our water, okay? We are going to mix the water with our oil, and we are going to create an oil spill. So when you're mixing the water with the oil, I want you guys to observe what is happening, the reaction that's happening between the oil and the water, all right? Now, the next part is what we're gonna try to use various methods to remove the oil from the water. So I can try paper towels, I can try my cotton balls, I could use a spoon and try to get all the oil out that way. And in a minute, we're gonna do that, and I want you guys to see what happens, all right? The very last step, after you have tried all of these things, we are going to use the Dawn dish soap to see what happens with it, okay? So, and at last, I want you guys to record your observation. So have a piece of paper handy and see what happens with each of these things, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into our experiment. All right, guys, so let's quickly go back over our materials list. I have water, and I didn't mention it on the board here, but it might be a good idea to add a 1 drop of food coloring to each of your glasses so that the oil shows up a little better. So I have 2 glasses of water, a little food coloring in each, and then I have the tools that I'm going to use to try to clean up the oil spill. So I have a spoon, I have extra paper towels, and I also have cotton balls. So let's go ahead and create our oil spill. So here is my water. And now let's create our oil spill. So I've just added my oil in, and that creates the oil spill. And as you can see, maybe I can lift it up for you. You can see that the oil is sitting right there on the very top of the water. Oil and water do not mix. So that's what made this whole Deepwater Horizon's oil spill so bad, is that you had 5 million barrels of oil sitting right there on top of that water. Those animals that require oxygen and air and that come up to the surface, if they came up to the surface, they would be greeted by a bunch of oil. And there's no way that they could get the air that they need. So that's why this was so dangerous. Now, let's go ahead and see if we can clean up our oil spill using the methods that we have. And again, if you want to try something different, go for it. I am going to try our spoon first. And I am going to see if that works. So I don't know if you can tell, but I am picking some of the oil up. But as far as this being an effective way to clean up the oil, I'm only getting maybe 3 or 4 drops of oil with each spoon. So while I am cleaning up the oil spill with a spoon, it would take forever for me to stand here and clean this with a spoon. So I'm going to go ahead and put my spoon down and try something else. So I have a handful of cotton balls right here, and I'm going to try to clean up my oil spill with this. So let's see what happens here. Okay. So this is 3. 4. And honestly, I don't see that the oil is even being touched, really. It might be cleaning up a little bit like this spoon, but in the end, this resource, I'm gonna need way more cotton balls than this to clean up the oil spill. So I'm also wasting these cotton balls trying to clean this up. So I'm gonna keep going and see, but I don't think this is a very effective way. I still see plenty of oil droplets on the surface of this water. So we have tried the spoon, we have tried the cotton balls. Let's try a simple paper towel. I'm gonna fold it up and let's see. I still see a ton of oil at the very surface. So again, just like the cotton balls, it might work over time, but I would need maybe like a whole roll of paper towels just to get this clean. So my last thing that I'm going to do, and guys, if you have other things, like I said, that you want to try, go for it. Let the dawn be the last thing that you try. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more oil to our oil spill, okay? And kind of mix it in just a little bit. And now let's take a look at what happens when we put the Dawn dish soap Did you see what happened when that soap immediately touched the water? That oil expelled. It went all the way straight to the edges of the pan, okay? That oil did not like the water or the soap that was added into it. So now what's happening is larger droplets are being formed. So the soap is mixing with that oil and creating those larger droplets. And I think that maybe it's going to be easier to clean up. So let's take the remainder of the paper towels that I have and see what happens. That soap is holding on to the oil. As soon as I pull out the paper towel from the water, I can see that it's already starting to be a little bit clearer on the sides here. Do you guys see how clear it is? Okay, and let's just use the remainder of the paper towels that I have here and sweep across. Again, as soon as I put this into the water, it automatically clears it up for just a second. All right, so what we can conclude from this is that the Dawn dish soap definitely helps more than just using the spoon and the water, the cotton balls, and just the paper towels to try and clean the oil spill. It does definitely help. So now let's take a look at the why behind our experiment. So here is the why behind our experiment. And I wanted to start out by showing you, because I know we kind of had an overhead view of the experiment. But if you take a look at this glass and kind of imagine in your mind that the water is the ocean and that this is the oil. So this is what it looked like right here when the water was in the pan. The oil does not mix with the water. So the oil sits right there on top. It is very thick. It is very slimy, and it does not go anywhere. Okay. So when you're thinking about this is what it looks like in a cup, think about a larger scale with our oil spill that we were talking about, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. 5 million barrels of oil spilled out into the ocean, almost 5,000 feet deep, okay? So imagine this, but imagine 5,000 feet deep. Animals that require going up to the surface for air, if they went up to the surface for air, they were greeted by a gigantic layer of oil. So that's getting all over their bodies, that is trapping them underneath the water, and they can't get the air that they need, okay? So when scientists were cleaning up, they did not use Dawn to clean up the oil out of the ocean, but they did use a substance, chemicals like Dawn dish detergent to help them clean up. So that is why we're using Dawn in our experiment. Also, if you have a container of Dawn dish soap at home, take a look at it, because what you'll see are animals on the front. Because scientists and researchers, as they were trying to help this marine life and help the animals on the beaches that were covered in the oil, that's what they used to help clean the animals off. So to get that oil off of their bodies, they gave baths of Dawn dish soap, baths in Dawn dish soap for those animals, and that helps them to remove the oil off of their bodies. Okay, so let's now go into the little bit of the science behind why the Dawn dish soap worked the best out of all the methods that we tried today. So it is all in what the soap is made up of. So soap molecules have two ends. Okay, so if you imagine a molecule, it has two ends. One end of the molecule really likes the water, and so that is called hydro. Hydro means water. Philic. So hydrophilic means likes water. So that molecule likes the water. The other end does not at all. And so that is called hydrophobic. Okay, so you have one end that's hydrophilic and one end that is hydrophobic. And so that helps to kind of collect that oil in the experiment. And that's what the tiny droplets are formed from. Okay, so once we put the Dawn into the pan, those tiny droplets immediately formed, and that is what allowed us to clean the spill up easier. Okay, so yes, it would still take a very long time no matter what. Like I mentioned, it took the researchers and scientists at least 4 months to cap that oil, and then they had to start cleaning, and it takes years to clean up an oil spill. But if we can find a way that works best to try and clean up as fast as we can, we'll take it, okay? So this was kind of an Earth Day experiment to talk to you guys about oil spills, to talk to you guys about taking care of our planet and just how important it really is that we take a minute, think about those things that we're doing every day and how we can better protect the planet that we love.